It's always crooked.
Everybody, welcome back. Legends and Dragons podcast, episode 44 here from the Legends Lair here in Hurst, Texas. The Chance Burleson.
The Jimmy Clouse. I'm sure you're one of the Jimmy Clouses. There's got to be other Jimmy Clouses.
Maybe.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I almost went to jail? I ended up on the pavement, face down in handcuffs.
Yeah.
No. It's a great story. This is a true story, by the way. It was, I don't know, it's 10, 15 years ago. And I got pulled over because Robert Burleson, which is my given Christian name, is not a super common name. And apparently there was a Robert Burleson who lived 10 miles from me, who was wanted, like, had a rap sheet a mile long.
What are the chances?
And there was a warrant out for his arrest for, like, beating his wife. And like meth charges, and I'm sure they were connected. And
you think so? You think the meth?
And now here's the thing. I love our brothers in blue. I do.
Yeah.
I do, and I believe that there are a lot of really good cops. Right, but they figured out after they ground my face into the concrete and had me in cuffs. They did figure out that we had different driver's license numbers, and there was a 4-inch height difference between us. And our eyes weren't the same color. When they realized they had the wrong Robert Burleson, they uncuffed me and said, you're free to go.
After they grinded your face into
And I'm like, it doesn't even behoove you to say, hey, listen, my bad, I'm sorry about that. Like, you didn't, like, no apology, nothing like that. Like, I wasn't going to demand an apology.
Wait, what police department was it?
Huh?
What police department?
It was a statey. I think it was Tarrant County.
Hey, Tarrant County. Apologize to this.
Do better.
Do better, be better. We have Tony Torres today.
What's up, people?
Welcome, my friend. Welcome. I'm excited to have you here, man. Hey,
We already love this guy.
Chance, how old do you think Tony is?
25 or 96.
I wish.
Between 25
Yeah.
I am my first split between
are
them.
a horrible cardinal.
You would never. I have narrowed it down to a window between 25 years old and 96.
You would not make it as a carny. I mean, you look like a carny.
I look like a
But you would not make it very... 60 years old.
Free show participant.
Friendship. 60 years old.
No.
Yes.
He's the worst liar ever. There's no way he's 60.
I can prove it.
Okay, I don't want...
I don't want to see your life because I might confuse you with somebody else that lives up the road from you. Yeah.
We did a mile-long rap sheet I got. Tony, where are you from, man?
Born and raised in San Diego, California. A lovely city.
Yeah.
Is it still lovely?
Not like it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
San Diego, Southern California as a whole has become the proverbial frog in the boiling pot. And as soon as people recognize that, only then will things change.
Well, I think many people are realizing it and they've jumped ship.
That's why I officially escaped Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yes, I said it, escaped Los Angeles. You can call me Snake.
Because you have been here less than a year, though, right?
No, I've been here almost 2 years.
Oh, 2 years now. Okay.
Almost 2 years, and thank God I left.
Yeah. So born and raised in San Diego.
Born and raised in San Diego. Lived not the whole time. I lived for up until the age of 27. Then I moved to Los Angeles.
Okay.
Came back to San Diego for about 18 months, and then from there I was Orange County for a dozen years or so before I met my wife. And then got married, moved to Los Angeles. Moved to Los Angeles and got married, and lived there until we escaped.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. She left Texas.
As much as I do, and then so. Are there things that we miss about California?
Well, sure.
Of course, without equivocation. I miss driving the PCH in the morning in liquor purple with the top down.
Yeah.
But what I call the PCH is no more, because that took us from the McClure Tunnel all the way up to the big rock that you've seen in countless films, past Neptune's Net over the Ventura County line. That's all been burned down to the ground like it was in 93.
Sure.
A series of events that could have been avoided. There wasn't for, bad policies, bad planning, but most importantly, bad politics.
Yeah. Speaking of politics, you know what today is, boys?
When is that?
Today, the Epstein files are going to be dropped.
And that's going to be interesting.
Let me tell you, hey, if you're listening to this and you are flipping blue, I hope we have no child predators watching this podcast.
Turn it off if you are.
Because
You're not welcome.
Let me tell you something, man. When it, God, I hope that it just, I am looking forward to these, yes, because I am so sick of child predators. I'm so sick of this child sex trafficking. I'm so sick of these Hollywood elitists and people with money think they can do whatever the hell they want.
Preach.
I am looking forward to watching the place where now I think one or two things are going to happen.
I was interested to see what you think.
I think that it's either one going to be heavily redacted today, which I hope not. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I hope it's redacted to the point that it protects the victim.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Because there's a lot of victims that are on. There's a lot of people that have been trafficked. There was a lot of people that have been manipulated. I mean, like the Asia Argentos of the world. She was a victim long before she became a predator herself. And a lot of people that are preds usually were victims to start with.
Yeah.
And so I have
bullies aren't born, they're made.
They're made. Yeah. I have a degree of compassion for someone like her who's largely been ostracized. But Harvey Weinstein's of the world.
Yeah.
May he burn in hell for all eternity. I mean, seriously, for what he has done to people.
What do you think? What do you think, Dave?
So here's my I'm not a conspiracy theory, but I loved having her on. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I'm worse.
Ooh, worse than what's worse than conspiracy theorists?
I don't believe anyone ever.
I believe strictly evidence. I believe very little of what people say. I watch what they do.
Okay, now I go quiet down, Nikki.
Hello, Nikki.
I don't believe you.
I know a girl named Nikki.
Perfect. See, that's her.
Yeah, I guess you could say she. All right.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So here's the thing. We talk about I believe evidence. I believe evidence. I believe evidence.
Okay.
Here's the problem with evidence. We have no way of knowing for sure that we're not being shown something to accomplish something. Like this would be an excellent time to burn someone down who wasn't on the list. But you trump it up and you're like, this is going to get released today. And the entire world is ready to hook, line, and sinker, believe whatever they're told. And if they decided to burn somebody down who wasn't on the list, we would never know.
You're talking about the difference between propaganda and reality.
Right.
The interesting thing is we've come to a point in our existence that you have to be willing to accept that everything you've been taught is largely a lie.
Right.
Only then can you begin to understand what's really going on in this world.
So the first thing, my son and I have this discussion all the time, and he'll tell me about this horrible thing that happened here or this horrible thing that happened here. And anytime somebody tells me that, my first question is, who wants me to know that? And what are they hoping to accomplish by me having an emotional reaction to that information?
Emotional manipulation is key part and parcel of the left's ideology and how they love to push their narratives.
I'm not sure it's exclusive to a certain side.
I think it's both sides, but it's predominantly the left. Because emotional, as Jordan Peterson tells us, and I am something of a devotee of his, anybody who is easily manipulated emotionally is easily manipulated into doing pretty much
anything. Well, because emotion includes rational thought.
Bingo.
Yeah. Okay, how many fights are avoidable? The answer is almost all of them. Almost all of them. But the second I can upset somebody, a mighty person is someone who can make friends of their enemies and master their emotions. And if somebody can run you off the road or push you or bump into you and erase any kind of rational thought, you're weak. If you're that easily angered, you're easily controlled.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And so, am I going to read the information? Am I going to look at it? Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to filter everything, man. I get for me, I just read all the sources. I read the Fox, CNN, the MSNBC. I think you have to read all of it to at least get a nugget, maybe a nugget of what that's going on.
So, Jimmy, are you telling me that you have a fair and balanced perspective?
I try to have a fair and balanced perspective. And as Ken said, he doesn't trust anyone.
I don't at all. I don't believe anything you just said.
Probably.
Tony,
I don't trust Fox at all, but I don't trust it. I trust CNN, and I certainly do not trust CNN, and I completely loathe and abhor MSDNC.
I think media just in general. It's a money making scheme.
And
that's all it is.
And it works.
They don't do it. Division and hatred.
Divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
Because the more that we're divided instead of united, the easier it is to control the different factions and pit them against one another, as opposed to paying attention to what's really going on. And pay attention to the man behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen, because that's who's really pulling the strings and screwing everything up for the rest of us.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, Tony, do you know who I heard this first time? I was 10. George Carlin talked about this.
Bingo.
He talked about this, and I remember being 10.
Carlin was a genius.
Well, I remember being 10 going, well, this is kind of depressing. Surely the world isn't really like this. And I've seen nothing in the last 42 years to disprove anything he said.
George Carlin had the guts to tell the unabashed, shameless truth about anything and everything. The only thing that I didn't like, albeit truthful, is that the older that he got, he came off as bitter, angry, and resentful.
Yeah, those last bits, yeah. You're right. I respect that.
Well, that's probably what that was. It soured, no pun intended, it soured the message.
Yeah.
It devalued the message to a great degree because people were looking at him like, he's just a bitter old asshole.
Yeah.
He's telling the truth.
Right.
He's just a bitter old asshole.
Tony, so growing up, man, talk to me about growing up. Were you bullied as a kid?
Yeah. Are you kidding? First,
Yeah.
I was born a pro-black child. No,
Close
I'm
to heart.
I'm a mixed race kid.
Yeah.
I grew up off 32nd Street Naval Station in San Diego. Didn't know my father. Hard childhood as a result. So I'm a welfare kid.
Yeah.
Ate government cheese, was constipated like anybody else that did. They made the best grilled cheese sandwiches, though. If you haven't had
Government cheese?
government, gotta say government
cheese.
Government cheese. Government cheese made the best cheese sandwiches, and it's sandwich.
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 Yeah.
Sandwich. Powdered milk.
Well, I had some you ever had powdered milk, Tim?
Yeah. My one of my dear friends is from so he's from the slums of Puerto Rico, boxed his way out of Puerto Rico,
There you go.
and then ended up in New York, and he was in Brooklyn, and he was on government cheese and powdered milk. And one day he had a party at his house because he's made it now. He's a successful guy.
Yeah.
But just to take a trip down memory lane, he brought us all over to his house.
Yeah.
And we had powdered milk and government cheese. Just so he could show us, he got it. Just so he could show us what it was like. You're right, it was disgusting.
It's disgusting. The only way that ever worked for me is if I threw it in a blender and dumped in some carnation malted milk.
Yeah,
That's the only way it ever worked.
Yeah.
But I mean, to say I had it rough in my childhood, I was better off than a lot of people because I actually grew up in a house with a roof over my head.
Yeah.
I wasn't living in government assistant housing. And once I really understood what welfare was, my eyes were opened wide.
Yeah.
And I worked like hell to make sure that I would never be a slave to the system. Because oddly enough, fast forward about the age of 30, and then my late 20s was my conservative awakening. When I actually read a quote from LBJ, who said, I'll have those voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Most people don't even know that he said that.
I didn't know he said that.
Yeah. And he was referring to black people. He called them the pejorative. And I look, and that's why it's one of the reasons why I became conservative, because I started looking at my value sets. and they more aligned with conservatism than they ever did with anything in liberalism. And that's just a different aspect. But to get back to the childhood, was I bullied? Yes.
Yeah.
I was small, I was scrawny. I had 3 uncles that had no interest in me. And even the one that I admired the most is a Vietnam veteran. Crazy son of a bitch did 5 tours with 5th group.
Oh my God. 5 tours?
5 tours. And 5th group, though. When he came home in peanut butters and a green beret. Talk about badass.
Yeah.
He was the one uncle that I never wanted to mess with.
Yeah.
Because I knew he had the ability to kill me.
And was he one of the reasons why? Because you did a stint in the Marines, and then was he one of the reasons why?
The any interest that I had in any branch of the service, and I swore an oath in 1982, and that was about as far as I could go with that, had an awful lot to do with his impact on my early childhood and when he was around. It took him about 20 years after he came back to become a human being again. His words, not mine.
Yeah.
Because he had PTSD like a madman.
Yeah.
But it's in talking to him that I began to understand things about the political aspects of warfare.
Yeah.
But back to childhood, I was small, I was scrawny. I got chased around quite a bit. I got picked on, because I was called half-breed because I was mixed race. I was called all kinds of different things, and picked on because I was small, and that was the nature of things. And I just didn't know how to fight. I was like, "But," and he didn't teach me anything. And finally, one day I had to go to him. I said, "Teach me," because I can't teach you, because you'll hurt people with what I know. I'm going to get you somebody else. And so one day I ran in. The United College Federation was literally on my way home, and I stopped, turned, didn't even realize I was in front of the dojo, and faced the kid who was chasing me. I said, "I'm tired of this." And I took off my backpack, I threw it down, turned, faced him, took a basic fighting stance, did a front stamp kick, got him right in the nose, made him cry, gave him a bloody nose. He never messed with me again. Chicken sees me, he goes, "You, get in here."
And you had never trained before that?
Told you, I was just watching Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would watch, we had the USA Network way back when. How old are you?
52.
And you're 50.
Younger than me. 45.
Okay. Remember they had Kung Fu Theater?
Yeah, Kung Fu Theater. Yeah.
Okay. I grew up on Kung Fu Theater. So I would watch the films over and over again, and I'm like, and we finally got enough money to get a VCR. So I'm pausing, rewind, let it run, pause, rewind, let it run, pause, and then practice the technique as I'm seeing it on the screen. So I learned how to do a front snap kick.
That's the low hanging fruit of karate. You can figure out a front snap. That's a smart move. That's a smart move.
I figured out how to do a decent side kick.
Yeah. That's harder.
Much harder. And Gabriel pulled me in, started talking to him. I told him what was wrong, what was happening. And he goes, "I'm going to teach you." I said, "I ain't got my money." And he says, "I didn't ask you if you had money." I said, "I'm going to teach you, but you got to talk to your mom." So I got to a little bit, and then I met, I should say that I met, our next door neighbors were Japanese, and I saw him teaching his son. And like I mentioned to you earlier, I hopped up on the fence, the retaining wall between the two properties, and said, "I can meet your son's out." And he goes, "Oh, but you sing so." Come on, basically, "I'll come around and find out." He calls me over, and Corey had me on the ground in, I don't know, 3 moves. And he could have cracked my skull right there with just a straight punch.
Yeah.
And so I at that point, I learned humility.
Right. Yeah.
Because I had learned a little bit. And then all of a sudden I thought it was something of a badass, because now I could defend myself against kids in school.
Right.
But one of the big takeaways for me growing up, and we were talking about this before we started rolling, was honor and integrity. And I always believed in the old code, whether the old code be Japanese or the code of chivalry.
Right.
And
They're not that far different.
they're very close to one another.
Yeah.
I've tried to live my life by that. And then there's Christ's last commandment, love another as I loved you. So at the end of the day, I like to think of myself as a big old teddy bear who's good at tickle fighting.
Well, the precept of Krav, the kind of their motto is that so one may walk in peace. And so there's a very strong correlation
Yes.
between the ability to effectively conduct violence against somebody and the ability to be peaceful. And so one of the things we do with one of the, I love about him is every time he's about to say something important, he does this. I do that all the time. I do that all the time. Yeah, we had a guest one time. Why do you keep hitting me? So yeah, I know. So I have we have a thing here. Our school, when you get your black belt, you get to pick how it looks. You get to pick like what color thread embroidery, and you get to pick whatever you want on the belt. So it can be have your name, it can be, and so most people get a saying translating into Japanese on one side.
Yeah.
And so this was
So it's written in kanji.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, but you can have it translated in Korean, Japanese, Chinese. I had a guy who's from Ethiopia, had it put into Ethiopic. And so anyways, the point being is that I had a 12-year-old vegan. What 12-year-old is vegan? But this kid was he was exceptional. He had this understanding that a 12-year-old shouldn't have about people in the world. And this is what he had translated on his belt. Only a warrior can be a pacifist. He was 12!
That's strong.
And it struck me, and it's never left me, that you can't be a pacifist unless you can fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Because the thing is, you're not choosing to be a pacifist if you can't fight. You're stuck with it. You're stuck with it.
In 1981, I remember this well, I read a book called A Peaceful Warrior.
Yes. Yes. I've read that book. Yes. I guess whatever his name was, the 12-year-old did it,
Probably read it himself.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, but I mean, there's another phrase that I remember that comes immediately to mind, great and terrible things I will do on behalf of those that I love.
Yeah.
I have a scary capacity for violence,
Right.
but I am meek.
Right.
yeah.
I've worked very hard to become meek because, gentlemen, I'm not supposed to be, I'm 60 years old. I never thought I'd make it this far.
Right.
I kind of died in my early 40s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was actually to make it through my 20s.
I barely I grew up around gang life.
Okay.
That's why this cross is still in my hand.
Yeah.
I have become, not to sound braggadocious, I've become wildly successful in life in comparison to the life that I led as a child.
Yeah.
I've been shot at. I've been blown up. I've been in countless car wrecks. I have full spinal stenosis. You already know this about me.
Yeah.
I have been jumped, damn near lynched, and managed to survive it all.
Yeah.
4 years ago, we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, a little bit later in the podcast if we have a couple hours. I nearly died of COVID-related issues, namely pneumonia.
Really?
In my teens, I had double pneumonia, walking pneumonia, and was fine
Right.
within a week.
Right.
Okay, but I got pneumonia while I was in the damned hospital.
Yeah.
I didn't have it before I got there.
Yeah.
I just had that stupid virus.
Yeah.
Okay, which basically is a hard-hitting flu for all intents and purposes. It's a respiratory thing, But I ended up with pneumonia, COVID-related pneumonia, and ketoacidosis. I went from 235 pounds down to 145 pounds when I came out. I dropped 90 pounds in the space of a month.
Wow. In your 40s, you said?
No,
4 years.
No, this is
4 years
this
ago.
is COVID.
Yeah.
just 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was insane. I was emaciated. I came out, I have no muscle mass.
Yeah.
I still don't have half the muscle mass that I used to have. I say this with tongue firmly planted in cheek, but it's a factual statement. I literally lost my ass.
Yeah. Right.
Strange board. You could use me as an ironing board.
Right.
You know, you can get a good crease on your jeans. I mean, seriously. And I look back over my life, and here's where I get emotional. And for all the times, and I'm glad I'm glad I grew up in the 70s and 80s and into the 90s because there's no video record of all the stupid stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
And I love fun doing it.
Yeah.
But it is by the grace of God that I draw breath today in these lungs.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Stop. In a sentence.
So was COVID what really drew you closer to God? Or was it?
I was already close. I had been attending a church in Los Angeles. I'd gone on a men's retreat. I had a moment, an epiphany, if one will, at that event where I had what they refer to as a holy shattering. And I literally wailed 50 years of pain
Wow.
out of my body for all the trauma that I had been through.
Yeah.
And God from there began restoring me. And in scripture, he talks about restoration, and he began doing it.
Yeah.
You know, pride comes before fall. I was making stupid money in the mortgage business.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me anything. You couldn't touch me.
Yeah.
I had everything but the girl because I was busy playing with too many girls.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the cars, the house in South Orange County in a little community called Coda de Casa. I had all of it. They didn't have God. They didn't have the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So he took it all away from me. And I got locked to good, forget my language, lower than will shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was Al Bundy for a few weeks while I was figuring stuff out.
Right. Yeah.
Al Bundy's one of us. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
He's a great jiu-jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
And I had to reinvent myself. But I drew closer to God in that moment. And I started giving him the praise and the glory. And then when I started going to church, I had been working with a group of people and I started coming up again in the world. And they were going good. But I felt a lot more humility this time.
Yeah.
I had been attending that church for about 10 years when that shattering happened.
Okay.
And I became a pastoral intern. I was actually considering taking up the cloth at one point in the seminary. That didn't quite work out. He told me he had other plans for me. But I've walked closer to Jesus ever since then. And the funny thing is, you mentioned coming to Texas actually let me get closer to God than any place else in life.
Yeah. How's that explained?
For everybody in California, don't take this personally, but California is a godless state. They worship themselves, not the man, not the one. Coming to Texas, my wife and I were actually set to go to a different church based on an experience we had with a marriage retreat that she and I had done to have a more biblically centered relationship. And before we returned to that church, Greg Hamilton,
Hey, we know him.
God bless him, said, before you go over there and jump in with both feet, come to church with me once. Just once. This is all I ask. I've known Greg for, I want to say 15, 16 years. I've known him since he was a blue or a purple belt.
Okay.
On the tournament circuit when I was at the Federation. And so I accepted his offer. Because I had every intention when we moved out, but let me take a couple steps, but I had every intention when we moved out here to move to this area to train with Greg.
Okay.
And then commute in, and have my wife commute into her job and then figure out where I was going to build my business from.
Right.
Well, fortunately, it doesn't work out quite that way. So I do a 52-mile drive to come train with Greg at his place. And it's worth every single
Round trip or one way?
one way.
Where do you live?
I live in Garland on the lake.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty area because there's not a lot of pretty areas.
I'm running the border of Sunnyvale.
Yeah, that's a pretty area.
And I'm a couple hundred yards off the lake, and I can walk to the lake's edge.
Yeah, you have to be choosy is you're going to live in Dallas and find a good place that you're happy you're there. I'm a Fort Worth boy, just so you know. I'm not a fan of Dallas.
Well, I quickly begun to understand why, because when I first got here, I had my office in Turtle Creek, and then I moved it up to Allen.
Yeah.
And I'm in financial services, so I'm a financial advisor by trade. And Turtle Creek just wasn't a good demographic for me, but
Right.
being in Allen is, because with Allen, Plano,
Yeah.
McKinney, and Frisco, I have a large audience of people who are continually looking for what I do.
Well, I spend a lot of time in South Dallas, so you can imagine why I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I do my best to not go south of the 30, let alone the 20.
So what I do when I'm not doing podcasts and teaching classes is that I help guys get clean, and the thing is, there's not a lot of them in Turtle Creek, but there's a ton of them in Duncanville. And
There's a ton of Turtle Creek. They're just doing it their own.
there, yeah. So I spend a lot of time over there, but just getting over there and getting back is so difficult. So I'm so glad that. So you still, how active can you be over at Henzo? Like,
I try to get there 2 to 3 times a week. I'm
Okay,
there on
okay,
Tuesdays
that's
and
good.
Thursdays, and then taking privates with Greg on Sundays.
that's when I take my privates with Philip. I've known Philip since he was 17.
Feel the thrill. It's his birthday today.
I know. Happy birthday,
Philip.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah, awesome dude.
Yes.
What a story that he has.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Originally, and also a Kimpo guy.
Yes.
This was his first thing.
yes, that whole Ed Parker story of how
Yeah.
growing up in Hawaii and having to fight his way just to hold his title.
Yeah.
To hold his place, really not even his title, to hold his place to be able to teach. That was a huge thing.
So Alan Steen and my dad were the co-nucleus, the double nucleus of kind of Texas karate. There's another guy, Chinham, but back in the day, back in the 60s, there was nobody,
No.
right? And so
What's that crazy foreign stuff?
So Alan Steen and Pat Burleson were training under June Reed in College Station.
We're training
No, not College Station, San Marcos.
We're training under new.
June Reed.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dad had already trained in Okinawa and Japan and Philippines and everywhere. So anyways, the two of them are training, and they kind of came up on the tournament circuit. Back then, there was like a dozen guys that were fighting, and that was it, right? And I'm exaggerating. But Ed Parker, Alan Steen, and my father is like a Jew, a rabbi, and a priest walk into a bar. Like this is one of those stories, but it actually happened, right? So the three of them are having an argument over whether Taekwondo, karate, or Kempo was best. And there was a lot of that psychology back in the 60s and 70s. Is they argued about what style was best. We all know that all of them are great now, right?
Right.
And so they're having this discussion. My dad is watching Alan Steen and Ed Parker have this argument. And Ed Parker didn't talk to Alan Steen for years after he said this. He goes, I like that Kempo stuff, but y'all keep doing those cockroach forms. And Ed Parker says, what do you mean about the cockroach form? He goes, where you slap it off of you and then stomp on the ground. It made Ed Parker so mad.
Oh yeah, I can understand.
Like he didn't speak to him for years, and he knew he knew better. He knew that would get his goat.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of discussions that used to happen back in the 60s and 70s.
Well, in the 80s, I was unintentionally disrespectful in a Kung Fu studio.
Okay.
Because would you define Kung Fu as hard or soft?
Hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I noticed all these hard movements. And I had been studying a little bit of Jejumdo with Boutique.
Okay.
I was driving up to LA to see him. And I come into this place because, again, a buddy of mine's trading there. And one of the instructors comes over. I go, hard style. It's too late here. The guy got all indignant. I'm like, line defeats circle, circle defeats line. Why do you have a problem with me saying that? And when I said that, he's like, oh, okay. This is not just some guy off the street.
Right.
And then he comes over and then, Professor,
This is my buddy Tony Torres. He does that. And guys, let me be very, very clear about something. I am nobody special.
Yeah.
I am a average Joe at best. I'm just a guy who's taken a little bit of a lot of different stuffs over the years.
The jack of all trades, right?
Absolute master of none. I have an ADHD brain.
Right.
And I literally would...
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
And I would get to a point where I was reasonably proficient and go, okay, next.
I'm going to go do the next thing. Yeah.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in jiu-jitsu, I should have been a black belt years ago, and I should be a second degree by now. If I would have stayed consistent with my training, I'd be there.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I got so far, there was a distraction, and then I went off the different direction.
Yeah. So you've been doing martial arts since, what, you said 13?
12.
12?
Yeah, because I got tired of getting my ass kicked, man.
Yeah, yeah. So from 12 all the way to
Off and on.
now, off and on, from 12 to 60.
Because like I said, I would do it for a while.
Right.
And I got the bug I had been away from martial arts other than, goofing around with friends.
Yeah.
Who I knew to be black belts and, I had proper training in their garage dojos. I hadn't done anything in probably 20 years when I got into jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And I turned into a 12-year-old kid all over again.
Yeah.
I said,
Pajama wrestling and tickle fighting. Yay!
and I got the bug. I got bit hard.
Yeah.
I was training 6 days a week with the first school that I was training at.
Yeah. What school is that?
I was at Gracie Baja when they were in Lake Forest.
Okay.
And I got to train with Carlinhos himself. I had Piu Piu Joca, Andrea Fernandes, and Macio Feitosa as my instructors back then. And it was a very different animal back then. There was much more pure jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Very different now, sadly.
Oh yeah, what's that? So when you say pure jiu-jitsu,
I mean, they really...
Are you talking about kind of like without the influx of the competitive thing, just more?
No, it was less... they became very black belt academy.
I got it.
And, it was time and rank, not actual proficiency. I got you your next belt.
Got it.
And they were teaching us, but then I quickly discovered that they weren't teaching us to the degree that they could have, because they weren't teaching us the fine details. They were teaching us checkers more than chess.
Got it.
You had to get to a certain level of proficiency before they would really pour in skill and technique and refinements into it. That's at least that's my humble perception
yeah.
of what it was there. I made some wonderful friends along the way from that organization, people that I called brother, people that I would answer a phone call from 3 a.m. for and fly across country for at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Because of who they are to me and who they've been for me.
Yeah.
That's 2005 to I met my wife in 2000. I think 2004, 5, making me think. Until 8, and then I moved to LA. And when I moved to LA, I was training at Enzo Gracie in Hollywood, when it was Hollywood BJJ. And I was with Patrick Flannery and Sean Williams.
Oh. Boondock Saints.
Yep. Super cool dude.
Yeah.
They had their falling out and spreading up, parting ways. SPF is down here now. He's down in Houston. And Williams is in Tennessee now. But I kind of fell away because of the distance. LA is an hour and a half away from LA.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Just like DFW is it's 2 hours away from DFW.
LA is the Houston of California.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Have you spent much time in Northern California?
I spent a year living in the Bay Area.
Okay. So my instructor, basically the people that after we lost my dad, I kind of had to shop for, I became a Ronin, and the funny thing is that I watched my dad welcome and accept Ronins, and you've watched me do the same thing, like black belts without a hood.
Yeah.
And so we do that here.
Yeah.
But when we lost dad, I realized that I had become that. And so when you lose your instructor because they shut the school down or they die or whatever, you get to choose who you're going to be under,
Sure.
And dad had already put me in the back pocket of Hunchy Dave Kovar. He told me that I want you to get in his back pocket and I want you to do whatever he tells you to do. Because he said that because, we've always run schools. We've always run schools for profit. You have to remain profitable to keep your school open.
Yeah.
You can't teach anybody if you can't pay your rent.
Right.
Now, everybody in martial arts, and I've grown up in this world, you've got two camps. You've got people who say, milk as much every penny as you can, squeeze the juice out of the berry, and make as much profit as you can. And then you've got the other camp that says, if you make any money at all, you're a sellout and you're a McDojo. and I'm like, okay, well, so both of those, it's not either or, right? And so Dad, he was the motivational coach at Sac State. And while he was there, somebody said, you need to go check out Dave Kovar's schools. The dad went over there. He'd never met Dave Kovar. So he goes in there, meets him, and sees his operation, sees the quality of the students, the quality of the instructors, and they're profitable. They have 8 schools in the Sacramento area. And the quality of the student is good. They're teaching good martial arts to people. Hunchy has a 5th degree under Pedro Sauer. He's a 9th degree in the Tracy Kempo system. He's a 4th degree under Junri in Taekwondo. He's a 4th degree in Okinawan Kobudo. He's a blade master under Shihan Nishiyuchi in Kendo and Kenjutsu. He's a walking encyclopedia. Here's the thing. He's the kind of black belt that you look at it and go, if that's a black belt, I don't think I am one. And so,
Because he's that accomplished.
And so my dad said, but you know what, when you meet him, you know what he says? I'm Dave.
Yeah.
He will never use this title in a million years. And so what Dad said, he goes, there's a lot of industry experts that can show you how to make money, and 1 or 2 of them still have their soul. And so I picked him to rank under. And so that's who I'm training under. Now, under him, but I'm under Greg, I'm under Philip, I'm under Duval Sensei and Kyokushin, I'm under Sifu Tom and Kali. You know what I mean? I'm under Crew Bloss in Muay Thai. And so staying a white belt, staying that Shoshin beginner's mind.
And that's really how I approach life.
Is you've got to. But dude, your story though, rags to riches though.
Riches, no.
Riches in the sense of
Rags to middle class.
rags.
Solid middle class.
Rags to much nicer rags.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
There was a running joke when I was a kid. What's the 3, in Spanish is my first language. So what's the 3 first phrases you learn and my mother is Mexican, as a Mexican kid growing up? Mama, papa, Kmart.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'm coming from San Diego, people. This is what we said back then. So anybody who got butt hurt, get over yourself.
I don't even think they know what Kmart is.
Yeah, well, and still exists in a couple places, but
Does it?
barely.
It's like a Blockbuster. Does Blockbuster even exist?
No.
No, they finally closed the last one. And there was one that was just hanging on for its dear life by its fingernails, the skin of its teeth.
So when did you meet Greg? You said in California, right?
I met him in California. We were both living he was living in LA.
You knew that he was already out here.
I kept in touch with him as he went through his changes in his life story.
Yeah.
And he could ask him about that.
Oh, yeah, we've had him on this podcast. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I'm not going to bring that up here. Out of respect and deference to the man, because I hold him in very high esteem.
We don't have to worry about it. He already shared it all.
Yeah, he did.
But nonetheless,
But go ahead.
my story. Sure. So, when I came out here for our exploratory visit to try to figure where we were going to land and where we were going to do things, I went to Mid-Cities.
Okay.
I visited him there.
Yeah.
Because I had every intention of getting back into the game and training here because I knew it to be pure with him.
Oh, man, you got here about 2 years ago too, right?
Yeah. And I was here 3 years ago investigating.
Okay. All right.
You watched it all, good.
But you what?
Not only did I watch it all go down, I watched it all go down to the nth degree when a certain individual came into the school
when Master Henzo was there teaching his seminar.
Oh, yeah. I was there too.
Yeah, and there was, yes, I remember your face. And there was okay, let's just set the things straight around here, basically was what Henzo was saying. Because Henzo speaks, you listen.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, guys. I love Greg, and I love Master Henzo.
Yeah.
I've known Master Henzo since 2006. I watched him do things. I hold him in high esteem and respect and love as well. And so when Greg and I were having conversations, he wouldn't tell me which direction he was going to go.
Yeah.
But in my mind, there was only one logical choice.
Yeah.
I said it. He neither confirmed it nor denied it. But I already knew it to be true. And then he's like, yeah, it's what you thought. I was like,
Yeah.
duh.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm thrilled because when I finally not awarded, earn my black belt,
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a Henzo Gracie because that actually means something.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on the mats, man. I enjoy it.
After being on for a dozen years, bro, and having your white belt ass smash me. But the cool thing is I have so much fun with you.
Isn't he a hoot?
Oh, dude, I'm giggling like a freaking teenager.
I know.
You know, and I'm back. It's like it's 2006 all over, or 2005, whatever, all over again. And I'm rolling with you, and I start laughing. We start laughing like a couple of teenage kids. So much that the people are looking at us like, are they on?
Yeah, what's up with these two old dudes?
Did they do amyl nitrate? What You know, and so I'm doom scrolling at night because the algorithm is set up. I'm watching all these jujitsu videos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Because here's what you got to understand. You're getting the new flavor.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I studied plain old vanilla. Very traditional stuff. Like, they didn't teach us Della Evil Guard.
That's true. Well, I'm not going to do the Delma Evil Guard, but yeah, with the lapels and stuff, though. Yeah, I love working the lapels.
Yeah, you've gotten good at that. And I'm starting to get good at it.
Yeah.
And I've got one great guy who is a Jack McVicker black belt named Jerry Gonzalez out in 40 and Rockwall. When I get extra time, I train with him. He's a great, great friend.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of stuff. He's like, okay. And the thing that I love about him is as much as about Greg, all great black belt instructors I've met are didactic. This is what you did right. This is what you need to improve. This is what you completely screwed up.
Yeah.
And the way that my brain works,
That's very helpful.
yeah. It's like, oh, okay. So just do this? Yeah. Don't do that? Right. Okay. Yeah, do it again. Oh, I get it now. Because at the end of the day, what is jiu-jitsu? It's biomechanics and leverage.
Right. Yeah.
It's all the details.
Right.
And as I said before, and I'm stealing thunder from Greg on this, so many places out there teach chess. And from jump, when you're training with Greg, they teach checkers when you're from jump with Greg.
Yeah.
You teach not just chess, but 5D chess, like Vulcan chess.
Yeah.
You know, the great thing about scientists and Vulcan chess. I love your references, man.
You're a big nerd.
Yeah, me too. So what's interesting, I've had, obviously, I'm very grateful and very fortunate that I have had and have the great mentors that I've got in my life. And I've had some really high-level sparring people. And Chris Rappold out in Boston came out and taught a seminar here.
Yep.
And you know what he calls sparring? Which, here's the thing, his definition of sparring, rolling is sparring. You know, right? Yeah, it's sparring. You know what sparring is? It's advanced problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was having a discussion with some parents last night because we're making attending sparring on Friday. We've been sweet talking and schmoozing and motivating and inspiring people to come to the sparring class at their school, like especially kids.
Yeah.
They're not coming.
Yeah.
They're not coming. Not enough, like the same 10, 15 kids come every Friday.
Yeah.
But 150 of them aren't coming. Right. And so what we did this time is we're like, all right, there's another stripe you need on your belt. You get a purple stripe on your belt every time you come to sparring. If you don't get this number of stripes, you can't test.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
Lo and behold, sparring classes are packed now.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to this dad last night. He goes, we're really trying to make this happen. I was like, listen, everything we do here is beneficial to your child.
Yeah.
But there's not one thing more beneficial than them sparring. If you're not sparring, you are in a karate-themed dance program. You are not in martial arts at all. And I'm like, the things that happen mentally and emotionally while you're sparring are going to help you tackle every other situation.
100%. And you see, if for those that are watching this, by the way, if you're not in martial arts, I can link everything in life to martial arts.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Without question or equivocation.
100% of everything you do in life, I can translate to martial arts. Like the sparring.
Yep.
I mean, sparring, stand up, and rolling, but sparring both. Dude, when you're under that pressure, you have to figure out a way to get out of that pressure. When you're sparring, and you have a jab or a kick coming to you, you have to figure out: do I block it? Do I get out of the way? What do I do? It's that.
Now equate that to a conversation that you're having with somebody, whether it is a close personal friend, wife, husband, boyfriend, sibling, best friend, business associate, potential customer.
Yes.
And things get heated.
So one of the best lessons I have ever learned from martial arts, and parents that are listening to this, particularly you single moms raising boys, need to have them in martial arts because only a man can teach them how to be a man. And the one thing that this art and all the others will do is teach them how to control and harness their emotions.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is how they truly become meek. Meek does not mean weak. Meek is power controlled. And that might terrify some of you women, but if not, go look at the prison statistics.
Right.
And you'll find out that better than 70% of the men in prison come from single-parent female households. And why are they there? Because they didn't know how to control their emotions and made bad decisions.
So, do you know what the translation? Because obviously, a lot of the biblical translation, I love going back and seeing the original intent in the original Aramaic languages and Hebrew languages.
Yes.
You know what meek means?
I just gave it to you.
Those with swords who keep them
Sheathed, power under control.
Yeah, man. That's beautiful.
I know.
People-
It's such a beautiful, every time I hear it, such a beautiful image to think about too.
Because it means you have the ability to destroy your enemy, and yet you are patient. Because love is patient.
It is kind.
Love is kind, and you don't destroy them.
Yeah.
And yet Christ said, if you do not have a sword, sell your cloak.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Because he doesn't want you defenseless.
Right.
And pacifistic and
Right.
So many people think meek means you're milk
pushover, right.
Yeah, you're milk toast.
Right.
That's not what it means.
Do you find yourself now, like, I before I got into martial arts, I was in my 30s. I had kidney, I shared a little bit. I had kidney cancer. My son, Talon, who I believe you met,
Haven't met him yet.
5 years old.
Yeah.
So he started when he was 5. He's just turned 14. And so I met Chance, but a little bit after that, after my son got onto the mats. But before I stepped onto the mats, after my kidney cancer, I used to think, I can defend myself. Really, I thought
I just see red and it's go time.
I don't know if I ever said like that. Like I'll see red, but I'm pretty certain that my mindset was like, man, if I get angry enough,
You should remind me of something.
But the thing is, after getting my ass handed to me by Master Valdez,
Little tiny Master Valdez.
100, he's probably maybe 140 pounds now.
Yeah. And blind.
And blind, by the way. And so the baddest dude that, I have a lot of loyalty to him. But anyway, after he whipped my ass and broke me with the side kick to my ribs, I was like, there is no way that I could, like all the images of me think I could defend myself was out the window like that.
They're gone.
God.
Yeah. I watched one of the most masterful
interactions in a bar in downtown San Diego back in the early 90s when a lummox,
A hairy lummox.
an ape-like lummox, yes, a big, this dude was like 6'6" and probably 285 to 325 pounds. He's just a ginormous dude, but you could tell he was a lummox and he was a baby Huey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I know your guys are old enough to get that. Baby, okay, if those of you don't know who Baby Huey is, look it up on YouTube, and then you'll begin to understand.
Cartoon version of Lenny from Mice and Men. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they may be too young to get that reference. So he starts grabbing at this guy because he's upset that the girl he likes, who doesn't like him, who has no interest in him, who never has had any interest or attraction to him whatsoever, she's never led him on, she's never given a hint, anything, is like, that's my girl.
Okay.
And so in a jealous rage, he comes at this guy,
The hairy lummox.
the lummox, okay? And he goes after this guy, and the guy is 6 feet, 6'1", about $170 at the most. So the other guy's almost double his weight,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm gonna beat your ass. He bullfights him.
Charges him like a bull, huh?
No. The big guy comes at him. The attacker, the defender, bullfights the attacker. All he does is move out of his way and lets the lummox basically defeat himself because he's committing so much energy.
Yeah.
So a well-paced foot. He didn't strike him once, but he tripped him several times.
Nice.
I mean, the closest thing I saw something resembling a Kaitenage. Yeah. But when he finally ended up on his back, he's like, have you figured it out yet? You can't beat me. Just stop. You're making a fool out of yourself. I have no beef with you.
Yeah.
But you're like, she doesn't like you. Get over it. You know.
Yeah.
The one thing that fighting has taught me is
Because it ain't worth it. It's not worth it.
it's like, and that's what I tell the kids, the adults too, and it's like we're teaching you how to fight,
So you don't have to.
but you don't have to fight. So I mean,
Yeah.
I've been hit too many times in the face and everything, the reds and everything else to know.
Everybody has a plan if they get hit in the face.
Come on, my boxing coach used to tell me.
Mike Tyson said it, and he got it from Custom Auto.
Yeah.
The thing is that people don't understand is, let's say that your perfect fantasy, your perfect fight fantasy that you think or hoping is going to happen in that street fight. Let's say that happens. Let's say that you zig when you should zig and zag when you should zag. You connect with every shot, and you, in the thinking of an idiot, win. Right?
Guess who's going to go to jail?
Well, and the other thing is, let's say you don't. Let's say you don't. You now have an enemy for the rest of your life out there floating around. You think people take an ass whip and laying down these days? You now have someone plotting, wait,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want an enemy out there.
Yeah.
And so I told you the story about the one time, because I had my V card. I've choked a few people out, but I've never actually had to strike somebody with my fist or my foot and stop them. I've used the best weapon that any of us have. This connected to this. I have talked it down. But here's the thing. There was a time I'd been up for a couple of days. I was going through my third divorce. I'd been up for a couple of days. I was running this tournament, and I hadn't slept, and it was 2:00 in the morning. I was at the end of my rope, emotionally, mentally. I was exhausted. And this guy started a fight with me. He said, "Wait for me outside." And my heart, you know the feeling, my heart slamming again, and I'm sitting down, I'm sweating, and all I can think of, I'm about to lose my V card over this guy at a cash register. I'm about to actually hurt somebody. And when he walked out, I walked up to him and I said, "Yeah, sir, I apologize. I was out of line. I wasn't. But I was out of line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And he looked at me and goes, you know, man, I was out of line too. We shake hands. Tony, I look down. On his hip is a badge and a gun. I didn't see it. That was an off-duty cop.
Mm.
And in that moment, I felt God literally say, this is why I want you like this.
Yeah.
What? How would that have been? He'd killed me.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
I'd have beat up a cop. Like, how is this going to be good? And so, you know that guy, Chris Burns, the guy that he's an American, but he runs a school in Australia. He's big on social media right now.
Yeah.
So guy,
Yeah.
I love his stuff. He's so funny. But he talks about the guy bumping your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, here's best self-defense. He goes, I'm sorry. Best self-defense in the world.
Yeah.
Whether it's your fault or not. Apologize. I'm sorry. Well, I didn't mean, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I win. I win when I do that.
So Master Valdez has, so when you go for your black belt, you have to come up with 5 self-defense techniques.
Hey,
But, well, I say you come up with, you learn. So I worked with Chance for my first, or for my black belt. Then I think I may have worked with you again for my second. Yeah, my first degree. But anyway, so my first 2 that I always use all the time. 1, talk my way out. 2, run.
right.
So now I only need 3. That's right. That's right. I only need 3. I only need 3 because, I would much rather pay. One of the techniques is like, hey, man, I'm sorry. Let me get you drinks. I would much rather pay for a drink than some sort of fight. Like, listen, I have no time to go to court.
He just took me back. It's like 1999. I just moved to Newport Beach. I'm wearing a suit in a club because back then I was running car dealerships. And this guy just starts picking on me because I'm wearing a suit. And I'm like, what are you kidding? The fact that I remained calm and just asked him if he was okay was not what he was looking for.
Right.
He was looking for
The response.
Yeah, and I didn't give him what he was looking for.
Yeah.
And I was assholes like you. I said, well, you got half of it right.
Right.
You know what? I go, oh, I'm definitely an asshole.
Right.
And then when I said that, he's like, huh?
Right.
I said, so are you. I said, we're guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I said that, he's like, oh, man.
Yeah, you just diffuse them. Of all the martial arts that you have taken, what's your favorite? Do you think? Because you've dabbled in a lot.
I've dabbled. You're right. I didn't spend enough time doing it, but the martial way, Jiu-Jitsu, Bruce Lee's techniques really appealed to me because I have such a passion for him as a character in my childhood. But then after that, it's jiu-jitsu. Because whether you call it pajama wrestling or chickle fighting, it takes me back to being like 13 years old on my mom's front lawn, wrestling with my buddies, trying to get top dog.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing I love about it, the best training partners I've ever had over the years, we all have this one thread in common. We put ourselves in the worst possible positions, which is what I did with Greg last Sunday, to learn how to get ourselves out.
Mm-hmm.
And that translates not just to martial arts, but to life.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn in those moments, what were the mistakes that I made so I can avoid it in the future? What are the techniques I need to get out of that position and remain calm and breathe?
Right.
Jiu-jitsu is the one art form out of everything else that's out there that really emphasizes calm, breathe.
Yeah.
Calm, breathe. Calm, breathe. I've been in positions, situations where I can project energy. I can give somebody the death stare if I need to. I can pump the aura out that says I'm all fight. Or I can just contract and just like, he doesn't really want to fight. That's still fun.
Right.
If he doesn't want to fight, I don't want to fight him because then it won't be any fun. I abhor violence, but I'm good at it. And so the best thing I've ever learned is how not to be violent.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu, artes of the gentle art. the idea, because beforehand I was a striker, the idea that I can subdue somebody
Without burning.
without hurting, that's his key.
Yeah.
This is why I love jujitsu so much. Even when you suck at it, you're still better, way better
Yeah.
than anyone who has never done it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. Your first 6 months of jujitsu
yeah.
makes you better than almost anybody in the world who's never done any jujitsu, which is why.
Who's never done any martial art at all?
Right. So the thing is that me not ever having to actually hurt somebody
Right.
is because I've choked a few people out. And that is with basically net 0.1 skill in jujitsu. That I'm compared to the level of what I knew about the naked choke, and I'm talking, I was 20 something when that happened.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't have much skill at all. I'm basically a ninja
Yeah.
at a white belt now
Yeah.
compared to what I was when that choke worked, and that choke worked like magic.
Man, dude, let me tell you. So yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday at lunch at the class, had these two brand new. And so Greg partners me up with one of them. They're like, all right, just work with them. And, hey, he tells the new white belt, this is what you're going to do. Jim, this is what you're going to do. No close guard. I couldn't go close guard at all. It was open guard. And I felt so good. Like, I was like, hey, come to Henzo if you know nothing.
Partner with me.
Please partner
It
with
reminds
me.
me, remember that in the when you got the big guy and the kid that is just swinging and you're just putting your hand on their head like that. They're like,
That's
what it feels like.
Dude, I was able to flip them. I was able to just get top control.
And that's when we go like, so this is how Philip feels without 100%.
Well, it reminds me of when Mikey Rodriguez was telling me, because I said, hey man, open mat today, open mat. He goes, hey man, he goes, I can't. He goes, I've been invited to go to the police academy or whatever, some new recruits, and then he's going to teach them some grappling. You're going to basically fight, because none of these students.
That's gonna be fun.
Mikey said, if you ever have any doubts about jujitsu, come to this class.
That's awesome.
Come to this class. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because who do we roll with, man? You and I roll. We're about the same level,
Right.
You get me, I get you.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tony, right? Because Tony's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Right. He's starting to pick it up again. But same thing. We roll with Sub, we roll with
And
Miles, we roll with Greg, we roll with all these upper belt. I'm like, every time I'm like, am I getting any good at all? And then here comes a new white belt. Now I know those memes and videos. I'm like, yeah.
Well, it's like sparring. So, I mean, I obviously spar all of my people.
Yeah.
And they don't ever feel like they're getting better sparring me, because I have learned the art of just staying one step ahead of them to help get them better. So they feel like they're not getting better until they fight somebody else.
Right. Well, that's what Greg was like. And I know this too from learning from Valdez and learning my black belt, all the sparring and stuff. And same thing, right? Like, I know that I'm improving, but I don't feel like I'm like Greg has to be like, hey man, you were a little.
Well, and here's the question we have to ask ourselves, probably not just in martial arts, but in life. Do you want to feel like you're getting better, or do you want to actually get better? Because sometimes we have to pick between
I want to actually
get better.
Get better.
I don't want to feel good all the time.
And here's the thing. He's alluded to this a couple of times. I've been off the mat for about a dozen years. And particularly coming back post-COVID and having a lot of my muscle mass gone, I'm having to relearn techniques because the muscle memory's gone, because the muscle's gone.
Yeah.
And it's fun getting it back. I come away from there when I do those midday classes.
Yeah.
And I drive back to my office afterwards. I'm on an endorphin high.
Oh, God, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But what I get during that time, more than anything else, my brain, when I'm on the mats, goes silent. Because ADHD brain,
it's a long tail cat in a room full of rocking chairs dodging everything.
Yeah.
When I'm on the mats, it's quiet.
Yeah.
You like that?
Listen, because I have one that I'm going to share with you. That
Okay.
You have to do. Okay, keep going.
And so it calms my brain. It gives me intense focus. And that focus carries to the rest of the day. I actually find myself more productive on the days I come in here and I spend half the day down here training, and then I drive back up north and do the stuff I got to do at the office. I may stay a little bit later, but I get a bunch of stuff done.
Yeah.
Right.
And it feels awesome. But I also know as I begin to think more strategically on when I'm rolling with this beast. Okay, he's a ton of fun. But I begin to think more strategically. And I say this all the difference. I'm letting him smash me so I can make the mistakes that I need to make
To get what you had back.
to get it back again. So I'm putting myself in bad positions to get out of it. And that by itself has been one of the best things that I could do for my psyche.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like, I suck all over again.
Yeah.
This rocks. I get to learn.
Yeah.
Because then you get to rebuild. But I'm rebuilding from a different position. Because a lot of the stuff, ancient Chinese proverb, you must empty your cup before I teach you anything. You know, to paraphrase it. And that's what I see happening there. And so for that, I am just overjoyed.
Yeah. What was the analogy you were going to use over an illustration?
You're going to love this. I've been saying this for years.
Come with it.
A ferret on a double espresso. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah. All right.
The scan button on my brain blew down. Yeah.
So this is one I got from my grandfather when I was about 8 years old, in reference to somebody who doesn't seem to have a common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody needs to put 2 nickels on a baseball bat and knock some sense into that boy.
Here's a good one. A blind man in a dark room looking for a black cat that ain't there.
Oh man, Tony, man, this has been fun, man.
Dude, it has been.
We're gonna have to get you back on here, man.
Sure.
Great stuff, man.
Yeah, you don't mind. This isn't a problem for you to come over. I mean, obviously, we'll have to plan it.
We have planned in advance, but yes, I have no problem doing
But
this.
we had this planned for what? About a month. Okay, this planned for about a month.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to do this with you last week, but couldn't, and I told him enough in advance.
Yeah. So now we had Bella on last week.
Okay, that's fine. It works.
I mean-
It works. You might have to stand in for Annie. All right. If you
Annie?
Yeah.
Annie?
Annie.
Are you okay?
Got it.
Nikki, get out of my office. If you could leave the people who are watching that have never met you, they're in martial arts, not in martial arts, whatever, facing a struggle, facing a challenge, what would you leave them with? What thought would you?
I live my life by this. Never be afraid. If you fail, so what? Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, go do it again. Do it scared.
Do it scared.
Don't be afraid. I am more afraid of not doing it than I am of doing it and failing. A life lived in fear is a life half lived, and I'm not going out like that.
Dude.
Neither should you.
Beautiful.
Boom.
That's good.
Golly. Guys, Tony,
Tony.
go like and subscribe, guys.
Just some guy
We'll see you guys.
I'm just a boy.
Just a boy.
Just a boy.
in love with a girl,
See you guys.
real girl.
Yeah, right, real.
I'm a real girl. All right, love you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Let's-